Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what we have in store for you today. My wife cheated. The daughter supported her and disrespected me. Well, this is a complete story, so stay with us until the end. I am now 48 years old. It all began when I was 20. I once met a girl whom I believed to be great. She was 19. Before she became pregnant, we dated for 2 years because we had such great chemistry and just clicked. We moved in at age 21. At the time, my mom and I shared a home. At 15, my father passed away. Mother never remarried. She had a consultancy firm where I worked as a receptionist. My late father's construction business was sold off as I was young. I became a father at 23 to a baby girl. She was the most beautiful girl. The bond between me and my girlfriend deepened after this. 2 years later, we got married. I joined a job as a computer programmer and earned six figures because it was in high demand. Our lives took off. My wife wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I agreed, but also recommended that she take up a part-time job to spend her time. Things take a turn. When I was 29 and she was 28, her father had a terrible accident that made him immobile from the waist down. I discussed this with my mum, so my mother-in-law, father-in-law, and sister-in-law moved in with us. They lived in a rented place, and now their sole earner cannot work. Finances were an issue. My sister-in-law took up a part-time job, as did my wife, to support her family during this time. I also inherited from my late grandmother's will, which was split in two and was put for a college fund and my insurance. My wife wanted to buy a house with it so we could move out from here. I had no problem, but she specifically wanted me to buy a house in her mother's name with my inheritance, and both the sisters would work to pay me off. This was the issue. So we had this distance part between us because I found her proposal weird. 2 years passed by. My mother suffered a stroke as she had several clots, and doctors say she needed surgery immediately. It was successful, but my wife wanted my mom to stay at the hospital rather than come home because it would be difficult to look after two patients. I agreed and decided to hire a nurse. Then my wife wanted me to hire two nurses to take care of both my father-in-law and mum. I told her she would have to pay for her father's expenses because I was already handling bills, groceries, taxes, our daughter's private school, and now a nurse. They should be able to afford it because both sisters make a combined nearly $60,000 a year, which was probably more than enough given that they lived and ate free. My relationship with our daughter soured a bit at this time. She began disrespecting me and was mean to me openly. I thought she was just having child issues. She was 8 at the time. My mother had a speedy recovery and she voiced her opinion that she wants to sell her consultancy firm and put the money in my name. My wife argued right there because she wanted her to give it to our daughter and her, as I had already gotten my share of the inheritance from my grandmother. My mother reminded her that it was her money and that she wouldn't mind giving her inheritance as insurance plans. We argued, and it was decided that my mom would give the whole money to me. That was the end of it. So a few months passed by, and then unfortunately my father-in-law passed away. It was harsh, especially to my wife. I tried to do everything I could, but it still was not enough for her. The funeral was my responsibility. It went well, but still she'd complain about how I could have done better. I convinced her to attend therapy and later things settled down. We were intimate again and reconnected in a better and stronger way. But I sensed something was off with our daughter. She would shut me down every time I wanted to talk to her. I was worried and hurt. 2 years passed by as I tried to build a better bond with our daughter. Now, this time around, my mother passed away. She had another stroke and sadly could not survive. I was devastated by her loss. She raised me all by herself for the majority of my life because my father was busy. I went into depression. but no response from my wife. My daughter didn't even attend the funeral, and I was saddened by it. 2 months after my mother's demise, my mother-in-law asked me that maybe I should move out from my mother's house because I was overly depressed and I should try to get over it. I reminded her that when her husband passed, she and both of her daughters were in grief for 6 to 7 months. We never asked you to move out, and how dare you? She was taken aback and went fully quiet. I talked to my wife regarding this, but she didn't give me any response. I guess it was 2 days after this incident. I was grabbing something from the fridge and noticed my daughter's phone. A text came that read something like, "It's good that the old witch is gone. Now you can have the house to yourselves. We can have a party on your birthday." Excuse me? My daughter was 11 at the time. And what old witch? I read the convo, and yes, indeed, she was referring to my mother. She called me controlling, even though I never denied her anything except for things that I deemed useless. She wanted a pony at 6, a koala at 9, a panda, and a car at 11. I called my wife and showed her the message. Her response was, "Why did I look into our daughter's phone?" That's all. We argued about it before she stormed off. I tried to make amends, but she shut me down. It took me to agree to our daughter's birthday party to get her into talking to me. 3 years passed by. My daughter is 15 now. I'm 38 and my wife is 37. I had to go to another city for a summit for 4 months. I landed up in another job that provided me with tons of better opportunities and even better pay. When I returned, my wife's entire demeanor had changed around me. She quit her job and would hang out more with friends, which I supported, dressed up in more expensive posh clothes. You get the idea. I thought it was a change of habit and was fine with it, but our daughter openly disrespected me. My wife was telling me it was just hormones and she was just a kid. I stayed upset, but yeah, I trusted her. Around this time, our bedroom skyrocketed. I enjoyed every bit of it, except one day she brought up the idea of me being caged, as in like a chastity cage. I shut her down immediately. We argued over this for a week before she got frustrated and dropped the topic. Things got worse from here. My wife suddenly wants to go on a girls' trip with her sister and our daughter. I had no issues, as it'll be great. I had to pay a nice sum for it, but it was okay. She didn't call or text for 3 days. It was odd for me. I asked her about this when she returned. She told me she was just tired. I asked to see her photos and saw a lot of friends, both male and female. It sent me on alert, but she assured me it was just her friends and a few male friends. I saw nothing suspicious, so I was okay. 2 months later was our daughter's birthday, and I wanted to plan something for her. But my wife asked not to, as she will celebrate it with a girls' night. I was taken aback and voiced my opinion. Who takes their daughter on a girls' night? She told me it wasn't like that. It was her friends with their daughters, and no alcohol was involved. I was fine. My birthday was also around the corner. Keep in mind, by this time our S-life is bland. It's once a week. I tried to initiate more, but she always came up with excuses. I never celebrated my birthdays after my mom passed away, but each year my wife gives me gifts, so I kind of expected one this time as well. My wife tells me she has to go shopping with our daughter. Goes out for 6 hours with no calls, no texts, and no gift. When I asked about it, she told me one of her friends got into an accident and she stayed there and couldn't receive my calls. Well, we've got part 2 of this story coming up next, but before that, if you are enjoying the story so far, please hit that like button so that this story will be seen by many more beautiful people like you around the world. 2 weeks later, while my wife was showing me some pictures from our daughter's girls' camp, our daughter called her that she needed her. She handed me her phone and went out of the room. A text came to our daughter saying, "Hey, my dear daughter, I'm sorry for this late reply. I'm the lucky one to be your mom's boyfriend. Tell your mom I love her and kiss her for me. I'll text you soon." It took me a effing 1 whole minute to read the text, and I still couldn't believe it. I scroll up to see if my daughter texted this person. I'm glad you're my mom's boyfriend. Wish you were my dad. XO. What? I go to the toilet, lock the door, and read the whole conversation. All things noted, this guy is having an affair with my wife, and our daughter knew it. I saw pictures of vacations, girls' trips, and our daughter's birthday. They went to a candlelight dinner as a family. This guy was kissing my wife right in front of our daughter, and my daughter was pointing at them like it was some sort of good romantic thing. What's more, my sister-in-law also knew. The more I scrolled, the more my heart sank. It was this guy who gave my wife the idea about my daughter's birthday outing too. The guy knew everything about my family. Even on my birthday, my wife and daughter were with this guy at his house. What the F? He was over at my house. He slept in my bed while I was gone for 4 months, and even worse, it's been going on for 4 years. I heard a loud bang on the toilet door. It was our daughter. I just came out and stared at her. This was the first time I stared at my daughter like this. The same daughter that I looked at with pride, love, and respect just sank into indifference and disappointment. She was red and crying. She didn't know what to say. My wife was there, as was my sister-in-law and mother-in-law. My wife responded, "We can talk." I don't know what came over me. I yelled out, "Shut the F up or I'll strangle you right now," so loud that even neighbors might have heard me. I questioned my mother-in-law and she nodded. She just nodded. I looked at my daughter and told her I'm sorry I couldn't be a better father, but I'll do this one thing for her and divorce her mother. I called my wife her mother for the first time while addressing her, so this guy could be her father, whom she dearly loved. I looked at my wife and told her she had 9 days to pack up and leave with her family. I'll handle the divorce papers, but for now, move out. She kept crying, but my yelling and response might have taken her off guard. She knew I wasn't in the mood to argue or talk. I couldn't sleep the whole night. I just stared at her family pics on my phone. In the morning, I asked my wife not to cook for me because I don't trust her. She broke down and I felt like I was out of line with that statement. She tried to talk, but I had none of it. My mother-in-law asked me to wait and listen to my wife before making my decision. I had a friend who's a lawyer. I met him and laid all my cards on the table. He just tells me, "I've been a lawyer for 12 years. I'm 41 and haven't seen a case that's infuriating and saddening as yours." He hugged me and told me his uncle is the family judge who will probably be handling my case. But before that, I needed proof, loads of it. He gave me someone who happens to be a PI. I hired him. My daughter, sister-in-law, and mother-in-law didn't come anywhere near me. My daughter was afraid of me so much that she lived for 2 days at her friend's house. Her friend's father called me and I had to inform him of the entire situation. He said he was sorry. It was hard for him to believe what my daughter did. No father could ever dream of getting betrayed like this by their own children. PI found the guy. Turns out he's a coward from the countryside who fears commitments and is a small-time thief who used to work at the same place as my wife. I hit his place with my lawyer, PI, and another of my friends who happens to be police. Got him cornered on falsified claims and he spilled the beans. Turns out he was attracted to my wife and accepted a challenge from his co-worker to have her in his bed. It soon turned to love. He was actually in love with my wife. Turns out it was him who called my mum a witch. He was even ready to provide written statements and video of him professing, any photos, and even a witness in exchange for a promise that word of this wouldn't reach his office or his sickly mum, who's 60 plus with heart disease, in the countryside and a few $1,000. I agreed. My wife moved out with her family. She took a few thousand from me to pay a lease and the divorce hearing. I played all my cards on the table, every screenshot and every video of her boyfriend confessing. every lie, receipts, and even photos of them holding hands and kissing. The look on her face soured. She told them I was mistreating her, but this claim was easily dismissed as there was no proof, and if I was, why would I allow her to do a job and keep her family at my house? She had nothing to prove, and even her lawyer was taken aback by the amount of proof we had. She conceded at the end and told me she was incredibly sorry for what she did. She'd do anything to make up for it, even if it needed the rest of her life to do so. I replied, "I don't have the heart. You ripped it out." The daughter said she was sorry for what she did. She said she will be the best daughter and asked for another chance. This girl dared to call me dad. I reminded her I wasn't her dad. I'm an ape, and the other man is the dad she wanted. She should be happy that her mother is single now. I asked my lawyer if I could let the company that my ex-wife works for know on what she was up to these years. He advised me to get a restraining order first. With the help of my police friend and judge, I was able to get one and went full on. I made 5 copies of evidence, one for the company and one to be sent to my ex-wife's boyfriend's sickly mum. I didn't care. He didn't respect my home and my mum. I can't respect him. The fallout was quite the show. They were fired. My ex-sister-in-law had the guts to call me out. She told me she'd known me always as a brave, upstanding, loyal, strong character and humble man, but never thought I'd ruin her sister's career like this. I chuckled and reminded her that it was her who supported the affair. I might be a coward for doing this, but what she did made her sister a homewrecker. I asked her why she was so mad. Is there a possibility she slept with her sister's boyfriend too? She got angry and blocked me. The mother-in-law also reached out to me. She apologized for what happened. She said she couldn't raise her daughter well. I called her out and told her she was a horrible and greedy woman, and I wouldn't give a darn if anything happened to her, and she should be thankful for having a person like me as her son-in-law in this life. The boyfriend's mother had a heart attack and passed away. Turns out his mother always hated infidelity. Felt sad, but therapy made me realize I shouldn't. It's human nature. As for my daughter, she kept reaching out, apologizing for every word. I blocked her, but she wouldn't stop, so I had to change my number. I sold my house 8 months after the divorce was finalized, got a better paying job, and I invested in cryptos and stocks. Made a fortune. Got into the dating market when I turned 42. Met and remarried again at 44. Now I have a better wife who's amazing in every way and knows the value of a relationship because she faced the same situation as me. I have a 4-year-old son with her and I couldn't be any more happier. I executed my will, which excluded my daughter, so she won't be getting anything from me. I don't know how, but she was able to reach out to me 2 weeks ago and sent 8 long paragraphs detailing how sorry she is. She's been in therapy, working hard. I got a call from my lawyer, which surprised me even more. My daughter turned up to the lawyer's office with $20,000. I don't know where she got this from. She requested that she would work hard and return every last penny I spent on her. She'll keep on apologizing for the rest of her life, but she wants me in her life. She can't stay like this anymore. It's eating her alive. I don't know much about what happened, but as I heard, my ex-wife turned depressive and had to be admitted into a mental hospital. Her sister moved in with an alcoholic and is now pregnant with her second kid. My ex-mother-in-law passed away from an accident, so now my ex-daughter is living alone, working at a part-time job because she couldn't finish her education. She borrowed some money from friends. Also heard nearly all of her friends cut her off after I talked with her friend's dad. Hearing all this shattered my heart. My wife is pushing me to build a bridge with my ex-daughter, saying she realizes her mistakes and she needs me now more than ever. If I don't help her now, she won't get up and will keep failing endlessly. I gave my daughter the world and she threw it right back at me. My decision to cut off my daughter was the toughest one, but I still made that decision. I don't know if I should contact my ex-daughter now. My lawyer said I should because it's the right thing to do. I need to let it go for myself. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to my story. Alright, so that's the end of the story, guys. What do you think? Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Please like, share, and subscribe for more epic stories like this. Take care.